Hi, I'm Stuart Gordon, the director of The Pitand, the Pendulum. It's my favorite Poe story. It's the most suspenseful one I think he ever wrote. And it came to mind when I was visiting London for the very first time. Went to the Tower of London and saw these torture chambers and these cells that people were kept in, and realization kind of hit me that the things that people do to each other is far worse than any horror movie could come up with. Well, the original plan was to do the film on a larger scale, and we were able to cast Peter O'Toole to play Torquemada. We were going to shoot it in England, so we actually found castles there. We built sets. We were ready to get started. I came home to kind of get my family together to make the movie, and then when I got off the plane I was told that the project had died, that the company that was financing it had gone under. But I have to give great credit to Charles Band for sticking with me and the project, and we did it on at his castle in Italy, and the budget had to be cut significantly, but I'm very pleased with what we ended up with. And now it's hard for me to imagine anyone but Lance Henriksen playing Torquemada. Well, Lance is a method actor, and he had done a lot of reading about Torquemada, who he discovered was an ascetic, which meant that he would only drink water and eat bread, sleep on the floor, and he would walk around barefoot. And so Lance did all these things. When he came on the set, it was not Lance Henriksen that was there, it was Torquemada. And everybody was scared to death of him. I remember at one point, one of the focus pullers blew one of the takes and fell on his knees begging forgiveness from Lance.
How can you conceive of causing such agony? Some souls have turned so far from God that pain is the only way to call them back.
Oliver Reed, the story of Oliver Reed on Pit and the Pendulum is hilarious. We got a call from the castle. Oliver Reed is here, and he's asked that every bottle of wine in the castle be put on the big banquet table. And we got there and found Oliver Reed sitting at this huge table with literally 100 bottles of wine on it. And he was so loaded that he couldn't get up to go to the bathroom. So he would, when he had to pee, he would just grab one of the empty bottles and piss into it. He started chasing my wife around, and I had to lock her up. Lance, who had been, as I said, drinking nothing but water, decided that he was going to have some wine, and he and Oliver Reed almost got into a drinking contest. And within about an hour, Lance was on the floor unconscious, and all weekend long he just drank and drank and drank. And I was dreading Monday. I was going, what's going to be happening on Monday? So Monday morning I come down to the set. It's like 7 a.m. and I say, is Oliver Reed here? And they say, yeah, he's all set to go. He's in costume, he's in makeup. And I walk in, and there's Oliver Reed, completely sober. The sense of him was that, the weekends are my time. Monday is your time, and I'll be ready and professional. And it was, just great working with him. I was sitting with him in front of the fireplace at the castle, which is this enormous fireplace. It looks like the one at Citizen Kane. And he started reciting Lord Byron to me. He had never been on stage in his life. It's kind of a shame, because I've never heard anything so beautiful as Oliver Reed reciting Byron.
Fear God! Fear his wrath! There is one faith, one worship, one church, and all else is sin. And sin will be punished.
Well, I did 7 movies with Mac Alberg as the DP. I learned a tremendous amount about filmmaking from Mac. I never went to film school. So Mac, I always used to call him the professor, because he would kind of explain things to me. I remember on Reanimator he would say, Stuart, you can't put the camera there. And I would go, why not? Because you crossed the line, and I'm looking, what line are we talking about? I didn't know anything about this. He said, it won't cut together. And I said, well, of course it will. You just take the 2 pieces of film. Didn't get it. But Mac, just the gentlest, funniest, warmest man. He just passed away last year, and I miss him terribly. working with Mac wasn't like work. It was just a delight. Well, Albert Band, I love Albert, it was great working with him on this. You know, we went to Romania together because we thought we were going to be shooting the movie there, and he didn't like the food, and he said, "No, we're not going to shoot the movie in Romania. Let's do it in Italy. Much better cuisine." When we were supposed to meet Peter O'Toole, you know, Peter O'Toole was in Nice at that time, and Albert said, "Let's just take a flight over there." When we got to the airport, they said, "You won't be able to go into France without a visa." And we didn't have it. And they said, what they're going to do is they're going to just send you back. As soon as you get off the plane, they'll just turn you around and send you back to Rome. You know, I'm looking at Albert, what should we do? He says, "Don't worry, don't worry, kid." We get there, and he goes up to the customs people and starts crying and starts telling them that his mother has died and that he's there for the funeral and he didn't have time to get a visa. And he introduces me as his nephew. And the customs people just let us go right in. We're walking through the airport, and Albert says, "You know, I got to take a piss." And we go into a bathroom, and we're both peeing, and he starts laughing about it. He says, "Those idiot customs guys," and he's like laughing about it. And as he's doing this, I look and see that the customs guys are walking into the bathroom. And I'm trying to give him the high sign to quiet, quiet, but he doesn't really get it. And the customs guys are looking over at him, and he's laughing hysterically. 1 minute, you know, they'd just seen him 5 minutes before crying. And I thought it was all over, but we were able to have our meeting with O'Toole.
Master Executioner, kill me quickly. By God's mercy, don't let me burn alive.
We met at the University of Wisconsin. The best way to describe it is I drunk dialed her, had a nice conversation with her, and luckily wrote her number down on the wall. That conversation has been continuing now for 44 years, so it got to be a joke that in every movie I would kill her. And in Pitand the Pendulum, she's burned at the stake, you know, and strangled and then burned at the stake. And it got to the point where I finally made a movie where I didn't kill her, and she was upset about that. It was like, "Don't you love me anymore? Why aren't you? What's wrong here?" I enjoy killing her whenever possible.